we are, episode 243. It's still 2025. I know that the last episode that we did, we'd kind of said Happy New Year to everyone and we'd be back in 2026. But this is a special, extra little treat for you guys. We've got back on the podcast Mr. Brad Fischetti of LFO. He's come back on. I think this is like the fifth time he's been on now, but he's come back on to talk about an up and coming tour that he's doing, the LFO story. So, first of all, how are you doing, Brad?
And man, it's always a pleasure to see you. You're always such a gracious, kind person, and beyond that, extraordinarily talented. So always nice to be with you. And also, like I was telling you before we started recording, every time I talk to you, I feel like I'm around the BB Mac guys again. So that's always a plus.
Yeah, it's that Liverpool accent.
Yeah, I love it.
That's awesome, man. So how are things? Like you seem to be keeping so busy these days. Like you're constantly on the go from what it seems like online. You're always doing different things. So how do you manage all that?
Yeah, you're right, man. Life is just busy in general. I'm having seven kids, um, and the music part of life really took a new chapter that I wasn't really expecting, you know?
Yeah, it's
You know,
crazy. I mean,
after Devin passed away, as you know, Devin and I were LFO back out in 17, and we were planning on keeping it going. And then a year after the tour, he passed away. So at that point I had really put LFO away. And at the time I was running my record label still, since I've been doing since 2002. And then I was working at a church. And then this Pop 2000 opportunity came up. I thought it was just going to be like going out for three shows, and here we are 6 years later. So, it's an unfortunate honor to be what they call the surviving member, right? The person who carries on the legacy of LFO.
yeah.
But it's unfortunate and it's an honor. So I take it really seriously. And just like so humbled by the love that the fans show. Because, so many of them after the shows at the selfie lines are just thanking me for keeping it going. I'm like, thank you for allowing me to, because in my mind, you could easily be like, yo, what are you doing up here, bro? Like, your bandmates are dead. You weren't even like the main guy. Like, why are you here? But instead, they're just thanking me. And so I appreciate it greatly. And, you know, as it's gotten busier, it's been much more difficult to maintain any semblance of normalcy. And as I sort of was living like a double life, going out on the weekends and touring, and then during the week going and working at church. And I got to the point where I had to make a choice because my wife has some medical issues that require more of my time. And so I sort of got to the point where I had to choose music or church work. And what I realized was like music would give me more time. And you have to travel a lot more, obviously. But when I'm not traveling, more time to be there to support my wife and to be around my kids.
Yeah.
Financially, um, certainly there's more growth available in music, which really is just dependent on how much you work and how much you are in demand. Um, and so, I made the difficult decision to step away from the church work. And initially, my initial thought was like, man, I don't want to disappoint God. And then I realized, you know what? You can serve God in many ways. It doesn't have to be as an official employee of a church. And really, serving God starts with serving your wife and your children, you know?
Yeah. 100%.
Um, and, at the LFO story shows, the full band shows, we really do. I give a whole witness of my faith journey. And so that serves God. And then even at the Pop 2000 shows, I end every show with a little blessing. And so in a way, you're evangelizing the secular world, and people recognize it. I'm never one to push it down someone's throat, but
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to mention faith and my journey of, being faith-filled and then being an atheist and then coming back. So, yeah, how do I manage it? Well, just recently I started what I call Life 2.0, which is no regular church job. So it's been little by little, I'm getting used to that. Obviously, like, letting go of one of your jobs, you got to deal with some financial stuff and medical insurance and all that kind of stuff. So I've been dealing with that, but I'm thankful, and I feel, sometimes when you make a big decision, sometimes I feel like God will put people in your path to go, hey man, you're gonna be all right. And I had a really fun situation like that. I think it was like 12 days after I'd put in my resignation notice. I was at the airport in Nashville and I had a layover, a very short layover. So it's like I just have enough time to get some Starbucks. So like I rushed down to the Starbucks. I'm waiting for my order and it's taking forever. And I'm just getting ready to just give it up. And I say, "All right, I'm gonna give it 2 more minutes, and then I give it 2 minutes and the order's ready." I turn around to leave and I see this guy like 10 feet in front of me looking at his phone. I walk up to him as if I knew him and I said, Matt. And it was one of my favorite Christian artists, Matt Maher. And so we started chatting about boy bands and Christian music, and I left there like feeling like chills going through my body. I'm like, why am I feeling these chills? I'm like, is he that holy? Is he a living saint? Which of course he's not, he's human. But then I realized, you know what? Matt at one point had to step away from his regular church job, take a leap of faith, do what he's doing now. So I kind of felt like God was going, hey man, you're gonna be all right. And so yeah, that's where I stand today, man. So how do I manage it? It's not easy. Even now, it's not that easy because I started a Patreon page to help you know cover some of the missed income, and I take that really seriously because the fans invest in that, and they get frustrated if they don't receive the benefits of what you promised them. So I've been on top of that pretty good, making sure I post and do my Zooms and everything else. So um, just still getting used to Live 2.0, but it's definitely been a busy year for Pops 2000, and had a chance to play some LFO story shows. And like you mentioned, early next year, we're going to start the year with a run of LFO story shows. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, and these shows that are coming up, they're slightly different because Trevor Penick from O-Town is involved. Is that right? Like is this the first time you guys have collabed together, just the two of you?
Actually, I brought him out for the last run of LFO story shows I did. Um, and what was cool was he asked me.
Did
I
he?
never
That's
even
cool.
thought. Yeah, I never even thought about asking him. But the cool thing about Trevor, really, the cool thing about O-Town is, they knew Rich and Devin, and they knew Rich very well. And so, the pain that I feel, they feel it. It's not just like, oh, that's a sad story. It's like, no, they miss them too. And so they're the perfect people to be on stage with me while I'm honoring the guys on the Pop 2000 shows. And then Trevor in particular, we've developed a special bond. And, one of the things that was hardest for me when I first started doing Pop 2000 was seeing the camaraderie between the O-Town guys before the shows. The handshakes, the hugs, I love yous. And it used to make me cry because it's like, man, I'll never have that again. And slowly but surely, I started to gain that with Old Town. And then the on stage presence, being able to sort of just look at each other and know what's coming next. And definitely developed that with those guys. And Trevor in particular, um, you know, because he's coming out with these LFO story shows to me. And so really he's become like the closest thing I'll ever have to Devin again on stage. And it's been really beautiful. I mean, it really, when I'm on stage and I think about it, it makes me very emotional. And I'm so thankful that he wants to come out and be a part of it. And when there's time, he'll do like a solo Trevor set before the show, and then he comes out during the LFO story show and he rocks a handful of songs with me, and we do some skits, and it's just awesome, man. It really is,
That's so cool. And
So
I love that he asked you as well, like that, because I just figured you'd have asked him, but I love that, and that makes sense with him because like Trevor's he's so awesome. He's such a fan of other bands. Like I can relate to him in many ways because like, he grew up listening to Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and and he studied them the same way I did, and he's just such a fan of music. So I just love the fact that he asked you because you know that it means so much to him to be up there with you.
Yeah, he's great. He really is like he's one of the most ultimate like boy banders. Donnie Wahlberg may be the GOAT, you know what I mean? But Trevor's right with him. Just so good with the fans, so great on stage, just a great spirit about him. Just a really beautiful soul, man. And like I said, man, we've just developed this kind of stage presence together that reminds me of what I had with Devin. So that really is heartwarming because it was so devastating to know like I'll never get a chance to rock a stage with Devin again, you know?
Yeah.
And Rich, of course, too. But Devin, he was my best friend, and we hit the road together, honoring Rich. So it was like, we never, even after LFO took that break. I mean, we were still always together. He lived with me for a long time, so you know, yeah, I'm really thankful to the whole Old Town crew, and then in particular to Trevor for coming out. Because the other thing is, Gavin, I don't like being on stage alone. I hate it, bro. Like it's when I have the band, okay, it's a little bit it's different because I have those guys, but it's still not the same. I'm still standing in the front of the stage by myself.
Yeah.
And I don't enjoy that.
No, I'm the
And
same.
so
I'd rather be in a group. I'd rather be with people.
yeah, having
Yeah.
Trevor come out and rock a few shows with me sort of gives me a different level of confidence. The same thing like when I had Devin on stage with me. This gave me this whole little burst of energy and confidence. So yeah, I'm really excited for the shows in January. We're going to do a 5 show run. We're going to be in Connecticut, New York City, Pennsylvania, Jersey, which is like an outskirt of Philly, and then Boston. So, and it's the LFO story, man. I tell the whole story of LFO from 1974 when Rich was born up until today. We play music that inspired us, music of the time, of course, our music. Tell stories of how songs came together, of losing the guys. As I mentioned, you know, I do a witness in my own faith journey. I talk about mental health. It's really, it's a beautiful show. Emotionally, it is like exhausting because I just let it all out there, man. Like every
You're
show, I'm
reliving it
just
all, aren't you? Over and over again.
every
It's
night, and I'm in tears every night. And I hit after the show, I sit down in the dressing room and I go, man, I can't believe I have to do this again tomorrow. you know.
Does
But
it is it like therapy for you as well, or is it literally just takes a
no,
toll on you?
it's not therapy at all. No, not at
Yeah,
all.
it's the opposite.
Um, yeah, it's hard. Um, but I tend to I treat almost every show almost like a battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially me, like being somebody who like suffers from imposter syndrome, who is usually like on the Pal 2000 tour, like like the least talented person on the stage. You know what I mean? Those kind of things. So it's like, all right, I just gotta hit it as hard as I can, and you know,
I
just
hate that you
trying to.
think that though. I hate that you feel like that.
Well, there's certain realities. I mean, like the imposter syndrome is probably something that I can work on.
Yeah,
Um,
you definitely can.
but
Yeah.
listen, dude, you stand on stage next to Dan Miller and Eric Estrada and Jacob Underwood, like Trevor. Very few people could stand up there and battle with them. Like
No.
really in the boy
You
band
were
genre,
in you
like
were in a band with Devin Lima though, so like
that's what I tell Dan and Eric all the time. I said, man, I wish Devin was here. You guys could have some really beautiful riffing battles.
that was
But
what I was most excited about when I first heard that you were doing the Pop 2000 with O-Town and they were going to be doing like the LFO songs with you. I knew straight away, first of all, like the big vocals were going to be definitely Eric and Dan, and I just wanted to see how they tackle them. And those guys do a really good job. They really do. It's not
they
Devin,
do,
it's different, but it's like they nail it. They really do.
it's an they're paying homage to Devin.
Yeah.
Nobody can replace him. And it's funny because there's been times over the years where people are like, oh, why don't you replace them? I'm like, you don't honor them by replacing them. You know what I
No,
mean?
you can't
So
replace them.
no, so I do what I do. I know that some people may not like it. I don't really care. Not like in a callous way, but just sort of in a self-protective way. Like I'm going out there doing what I think is right. and all these decisions are prayerfully discerned. You know what I mean? And I do the best that I can to make it very clear that I'm not trying to act like I never needed them. I'm just trying to honor them and bring the fans back to a simpler time, right?
Yeah,
Because when they hear a song like Summer Girls, it reminds them of middle school or high school, the time before marriages and divorces and kids and jobs and financial issues. Like it's simpler, simpler time. And so that's one of the greatest things about doing these Pop 2000 shows is just seeing the way these fans get a chance to take a 2 hour break from reality, you know?
yeah, yeah, for sure. So with this, I know you've done the LFO story over the years. Now with Trevor being involved, is have you changed it or is it pretty much the same as it was, but Trevor's involved? You know what I mean? Like have you added new songs or
I think the last run, I pretty much kept it sort of the way I did it without Trevor, but added a couple of things, like based on Trevor's interest or feedback. And then this next run, I'm going to try to add some things that we haven't done before. Um, I've got some other ideas that I don't know if I'll be able to materialize in time, but for sure, Trevor and I have been talking about doing like a medley of rarely, if ever, played songs like Boom Shakalaka Boom and The Reason Why and Think About You and 6 Minutes, and just maybe doing like a medley of those.
that would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So working on that.
Is there any songs that like you're nervous about touching, like redoing?
Yeah, well, like for instance, like I don't want to kiss you goodnight. I don't particularly love the song. I never wanted to release it. It's a good song, but it wasn't us. The fans love it. They request it. There's no way I could sing it without Devin. So I've been working on a sort of an intro, sort of pays homage to it. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I mentioned it to some fans, and one fan was like, "I don't think you should even touch it," And I was like, "Oh man,
See,
you
I'm
know, uh,
I'm of the opposite opinion. I think because I know that for like the Pop 2000, like there'll be segments in it where you'll play like Rich's voice and you'll play Devin's voice. I think for that one, like especially in the middle eight, you could play Devin's voice no problem at all, and it would be such a wonderful element to the performance. But I think, me personally, I think you and Trevor could do the verses and the bridge. You could simplify it because Devin was all over the place with the vocals. You could simplify it,
yeah,
and then you could use even Devin's voice in the chorus if you wanted to. I think you could do it.
yeah." So my idea is sort of a mixture between kind of what you're talking about, but also sort of rewrote parts of it to be more geared towards the guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So um, we'll see if I can pull it off, man. It would be more of an intro, and it wouldn't, I'd make it very clear, like it's not the actual song, but I would utilize AI to grab Devin's vocals here or there, and I don't know. In my mind, the idea is powerful, but we can easily be swayed by just one person going, I don't know about that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So like
that's
I
the
was like
trouble.
super high on it, and then I
Yeah.
got kind of poo-pooed on it. But I have to remind myself, like,
I just
listen,
think though, like my opinion is you have to have a musical mind to think the way you think. And most fans, no disrespect to any fans, most fans don't think that way. So it's easy for them to just go, "Oh no, I just think you should leave it alone." They're not thinking of it in the same way that you are as a musician.
yeah, I appreciate that, and you're right. The way that I'm thinking about it is not like anybody expects it. Therefore, therefore, it's worth trying. So I'm gonna, I'm hoping to have it ready for January. I think it'll be really powerful if I can pull it off. Really powerful. And it actually be something new, a new way to start the show as well, which would be nice. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the encouragement, man. I'll be pushing on that.
See, I always loved that song. Any song that Devin sang the lead on is a great track, in my opinion. And that one was just, I loved it. I thought it was great, especially the
Yeah.
album version. No disrespect to Rich, I just like the fact Devin was singing the whole track on the album.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a cheesy song, but like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, nothing wrong with a bit of
Oh, it's
cheese.
a good, it's a great ballad, man. I just didn't think it was us. and most importantly, it shouldn't have been our third single. West Side Story should have been our third
I
single.
agree with that. I do agree with that. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So tell me about this Patreon because you said and we have a Patreon for our podcast. And I swear by it. It's a great way for fans to support. So you mentioned that like, there's perks. What are
Yeah,
some of the
so
perks? Like, how does
yeah,
it work?
so when I first started discerning choosing one job, I said, well, I'm really gonna have to start a Patreon page in order to make it work. And so months before, I sent out a survey to like 20 or 30 of like the top like VIPs, right? Um, and I followed up the survey with a Zoom call with anybody who responds to the survey to go through their answers, asking questions, lots of different questions from what do you like to see, what frustrates you, what price points do you feel are appropriate for these various perks, right? And so I gleaned a lot of important information from that. And then even before I started it, I started what I called like a pre-Patreon page where I created a secret link on my website with a password and gave it to like those like 20 big time VIPs and just started posting like reflections and things like that just so they can get a feeling for what it was going to be. And then when it came time to launch it, I wanted to be really sensitive to the fact that there are certain fans that will literally buy whatever you will pay whatever you charge. And those are the same fans that are out there buying six or seven or eight or nine or 10 VIPs every year and traveling to see you in shows. So it's like, okay, like, like in an artist like me, their top tier usually runs like $200, $250 a month. And for me, I just didn't feel like because these fans are already so supportive of me, that, I just don't want anybody spending that much money. So I set my top tier up at $99. Um, my lowest tier is at like $12. And there's a few in between. So the lowest tier, it's like a daily journal and first notice of shows, and then being a part of this like LFO advisory council where I run some new ideas off people. The top tier, it's a monthly Zoom, it's first access to VIPs. The top two tiers have like a book club twice a year. Um, you know, the top three tiers have like quarterly Zooms. The top three tiers have one-on-one Christmas time and birthday Zooms. Like, so it's just like it's access, which people like, um, and it's exclusive pictures, exclusive videos. It's a exclusive Instagram group where we all do like lives from like backstage just for people that are part of the different tiers of Patreon.
Yeah.
I do a video tour journal for some of the different tiers. Um, and what I learned was like they wanted to be consistent. Like uh, and I do. I post a lot, like to the point where actually I had one person cancel because she said there was too many posts.
What?
You know?
You can't win,
So
can you?
I take that as a compliment. But
Yeah.
I try to post something every day. I take the Zoom calls very seriously. Like, at the beginning of the month, I send out a link where people can sign up for their Zoom for the month. Um, so, you know, I, these fans are spending their hard-earned money to support us and those who have jumped onto the Patreon um, support me in an even bigger way. So I tried to price it so that it was really worth it, and I try to implement it so that I'm going above and beyond, so that no one ever feels like, yeah, this isn't worth it, or feels like guilty, like I'm just gonna stay on because I feel guilty not doing it. Like I want people to go, oh, this is cool. Like
Yeah.
I like this. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a lot of fun, man. I've actually enjoyed doing it, and just like the daily journal is just good for me in general because it's always good when you can sit down and write a little bit every day.
Yeah, for sure. And from what you just told me, you're offering a lot of stuff there. There's a wide variety of different packages and different options. And you didn't just come up with them yourself. You actually asked the fans, what do you guys want? That's great. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
So one other question I've got, and we are going to wrap it up because I know it's like, you've got the things to do and stuff. I am dying to like hear like unreleased tracks. And I know you've probably been asked this a million times before, but is there any chance of us like hearing any of the tracks or demos that were recorded by the three of you or even the two of you like one day? Or are they like
yeah.
just gone
So,
forever?
so my plan right now is in 2027 to release a new LFO album, which would be predominantly unfinished, unreleased tracks. A lot of it will have Rich on it already. A lot of it will have Devin on it already. Obviously, I'll have to add my parts. There might be some songs where we've got to use AI to add Devin on it, of course, with permission of his family. And my plan is to work with some of the producers that we worked with, and in those days for that first one. And I think the first album should be all three of us. Um, I have to face the reality that um, there'll come a time where I have represented LFO longer alone than I have with the guys.
Yeah, that's crazy to think like that. Yeah, that is insane.
And that, the fans like new music. And so there'll come a time where, I'll make an LFO record, um, and the other voices will be mostly cameo appearances from people like yourself, you know what I mean? Other artists. And some fans may not like it, but it's just the reality of life. Like how many AI generated songs do people really want to hear? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I don't know the
Can't
answer
keep
to that.
everyone happy as well. And there's always going to be someone that's not happy. So,
Well, yeah, I've learned that you can't please all the people all the time. In ministry, they talk about the shepherd going for the one lost sheep, right? He's got 100 sheep. He leaves the 99 to go find the one, right? Which is it's a metaphor for talking about how God will seek out the missing or the lonely. In music, I focus on the 99, not the one. Because there's always gonna be one hater. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So, um, but in 27, my hope is to put out a new LFO record, which has all three of us. And then going forward, plan to make other LFO records, which will be mostly with cameo appearances from different artists.
Yeah.
And each, I think I'd call each one of those records Surviving Member Volume One, Surviving Member Volume Two. I'm very sensitive to. I don't want people to think that I don't care or that I'm acting like I don't need the guys. Like, I would like nothing more than to stand on stage with them today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Devin being my best friend, like it takes my breath away when I think about not growing old with him.
Yeah.
So, same time, as an artist, I'd like to create new music, and for the fans who are so supportive of my efforts, I think they'd like to hear some new music. And listen, I'm not trying to say, yeah, we're going to go platinum again, or even gold, or even wood. You know what I mean? But the fact that there can be some new music for folks to enjoy, I think would be a good thing. And I have to think about if I'm going to devote my life to music, then I have to think about the longevity of my own career as well.
Yeah.
So, what happens if one day the Pop 2000 thing goes away and I've played enough LFO story shows, like, might be nice to have some new music that you can offer and interest your fans and maybe generate some new fans as well. So,
Totally agree.
yeah.
Totally agree. I remember Mike Caputo, like he put a video up one day on Facebook where he was in the car and I think he was driving through Boston and he had an unreleased LFO track in the background and he wouldn't let anyone hear the full thing. It was so annoying. It sampled "Waiting for a Girl Like You" by Foreigner, and it
I was
sounded
just,
amazing.
I was just thinking that exact thing when you said that. And I was like, hold on, let me see if I have something I can play for you.
It was the best, and like I actually saved the video so I could go back and listen to it again because it was amazing. I remember like years ago there was like a bunch of LFO songs that were like not leaked, but they were just like old demos. There was what was one of them called? These are the times, I think it was called. It was a great song. Like there was a few of them, and they were just like real. It
Yeah,
was nice to have these like little hidden gems, as I like to call them.
yeah, these are the times.
Yeah, it was a great
Playing it
song.
right now.
Yeah, even just that guitar. I mean, to start with the
I'm playing
guitar.
it right now as we speak.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool, man.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Some
got
good
it right
stuff.
here, bro. Right here.
And listen, if you want to, just to mention as well, we did that song Blind. If ever you want to reuse that in some way, shape, or form, performance, recording, what you go for it, man. It's you're
Dude, I
free.
love that song.
So do
I
I.
really, I love that song. And I love what you guys did. And I love my rap. Um, it like made me, like, it almost makes me cry when I think about, when I put myself in the position of the person that I was trying to write about. Um, trying to think of the lyrics.
Something,
It's a,
something spotless mind,
I'm
or
listening to it now.
yeah,
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, right?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm listening to it right now. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind was the last word she whispered in my ear before she looked into my eyes. Mind wet with cry, yours soft and dry to the fools and lie. Dude, that makes me cry when I listen to those words. Like if people really listen to it, it's like this woman's looking at you and she's breaking your heart so hard that you wish you could erase the memory and you can't even hear what she's saying. But as a student of her lips, you know what she was saying. Like you could read her lips. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's one of my favorite things I ever wrote in my life was that verse.
I love
Um,
that. Love that.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
such a beautiful song, man. You and your partner.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity to be able to do that. Like it was such a sort of whim. We asked you and wasn't expecting you to agree to it, and you were just like, "Yeah, man, let's do it." And I wrote that song in 2007, and it was just this little ballad. Like didn't have any sort of rap or any influence like that. It was just a guitar, and then it sat there for ages and never touched it. And then one day I showed it to Mike. He was like, "Let's rework it." And then it got to a point where we got up me and I don't know if it was me or him who said a rap would be really good on this track. And I was like, let me ask Brad. And the rest is
Yeah.
history.
Well, if you ever do make it to an LFO story show, then we got to play that song.
Oh man, yeah, let's do it. That'll be awesome. Yeah. Because I remember as well, like I sent the demo to Rich because I used to send them, we used to email each other, and I sent him the demo of that song and he loved it.
Beautiful song, dude.
It's just like it's
Beautiful
so
song.
fitting that you know, he heard it and and when you wrote the rap, I remember you telling me that you were thinking of Devin when you were writing it. And so it's just it's very LFO orientated for me, that song. And just to have you on it is like imagine being a fan of someone's music like I am and growing up. And if someone had told me 20 years ago one day one of the guys from that band you love is going to be on a track you wrote and he's going to write on the track, not just record on it, but he's going to write on it too. I would have never believed it, man. It's honestly, it's such a bucket list, like amazing.
Well, it was an honor to do it, man. I love the song, and like I said, my rap is one of my favorite things I ever wrote, just in general.
Yeah,
Like I don't know where I was in my mind at that time. Clearly, I was right where I needed to be. And every once in a while, I'll look up, I'll keep notes of things that I write, and I'll go, "Man, like I don't even remember writing that." I want to get back to that mindset. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Unfortunately for me, mostly it's dark. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the problem. Like being in a boy band, it's like most of the stuff that I write is dark. So it's like I gotta. Sometimes I'll sit down at the piano. I'm like, okay, let me just go G, E minor, D. and C, and try to keep it really happy. Stay
Yeah.
away from D minor.
Yeah, no, amazing, man.
Yeah.
It really is. Well, listen, we're going to wrap it up. I just want to mention again that you do have a tour coming up and the dates. I've got them written down on my phone because I want to read them out. So on the 28th, oh, hold on, it's disappeared. This is how you can tell it's live. The 28th of January, you're in Fairfield, Connecticut. 29th of January in New York. 30th of Jan, you're in Pottstown, PA. January 31st, you're in Frenchtown, New Jersey. And then February 1st, you're in Boston. And if I can make it to any one of those shows, it will be the Boston one. And trust me, if I can do it, I'll be there. If not, I'll definitely be at a show at some point in the future. 100%.
All right,
Absolutely.
partner. Well, it was nice to see you, man. Thanks for taking the time out. Thanks for having me on the podcast, and look forward to catching up with you soon.
Definitely, man. And good luck with the tour. Like you and Trevor are going to nail it. It's going to be amazing.
Thank you, man.
Take it easy, bro.
All right, peace.